Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and coming up on today's show, I'm going to be ranking the top 10 OC candidates for the Las Vegas Raiders. Before I get into that, I got to show some love to today's sponsor, Panda Sups. I don't know about you, new year, new me. I always try to eat a little bit healthier, and the last time that I went to the doctor, they told me, Mitch, you need to start cutting out a little bit of that salt. Probably the boots would help cut it out as well. Bottom line is, I got some awesome deals here from Panda Sups, whether it's workout supplements or they have some brand new food shakers that I think you guys are going to absolutely love. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. So what you're going to be seeing here on this list is the way that I have these these coaches ranked is from the likelihood of them being the OC of the Raiders combined with how much I like them overall as a coach. So what I try to do here is go a little bit of a mixed bag of likelihood and how much I like them as a potential OC for the Silver and Black. Here's the one thing that I do know. When the Raiders do end up hiring an offensive coordinator, I'm going to be going live on this show. When the Raiders hire a GM, I'm going to be going live on this show. Why? It's what we do here. I like interacting with the nation. I like breaking down the news, but I love hanging out with y'all when big stuff happens, when it's live. I don't want you to miss it. Pull up to the party, hit that subscribe button. So again, y'all, these Raiders OC rankings are going to be based off what I believe the Raiders could/should do in 2024. Some of the names are going to be names that have already been linked to the Raiders and already do have interviews scheduled. And then there's going to be some other names up here that I'm just putting in the mix in terms of adding to who are some NFL OC candidates that the Raiders could also at least just keep in mind. Let's go to number 10 here on my list. It's Frank Reich, former head coach of the Indianapolis Colts and former head coach of the Carolina Panthers. The problem with Reich is I think he's kind of got the raw end of the stick the last two times that he's gotten hired, and he's going to have some head coaching experience. He has also coached some good offenses in his time, and one thing I'm worried about with Antonio Pierce is I want to be able to find somebody that I'm confident in that I could hand the keys to the OC to, and Reich with his experience could be intriguing. I will admit, though, what happened in Carolina was a disaster, but I do think that was more to do with David Tepper than anything else. And the fact that he's worked with Ed Dodds from 2018 to 2022, if Dodds ends up being the GM, and depending when you guys watch this video, just keeping it out there, like if Dodds ends up getting hired, I do think Frank Reich could be another option that might move up the board a little bit in terms of who could be the next OC for the Raiders. Let's go to number 9 here, Byron Leftwich, former offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason why Byron's on this list is he's learned underneath guys like Bruce Arians, who's had a very aggressive passing style of offense. And if the Raiders are linked to Kliff Kingsbury, which they have been, maybe they're looking for more of a pass-happy type of offensive attack. He was an NFL quarterback from 2003 to 2012. Coached in the NFL from 2016 to 2022. He's worked with guys like Mike Tomlin, who I got a lot of respect for that. You guys know I have compared to Antonio Pierce, and when he talks, people listen. The other thing, though, is it's been well documented and reported this offseason that Mark Davis has listened to Tom Brady. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl back in 2021 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Byron Leftwich was OC. So to me, if they're going to listen to Brady, it's just a name to at least keep in mind that could come in for an interview. So it's going to be the pinned comment on today's show, and I want you to predict who is going to be the Raiders offensive coordinator in 2024. So you're about to get hit with that YouTube ad break. I want you to scroll on down. The person that's number 1 on this list is my answer. Let's go to number 8 here. It's Darrell Bevell, quarterback coach, pass game coordinator of the Miami Dolphins. And to me, I know what the Dolphins have done on the offensive side of the football. It's been very effective. I do think it's a little bit more to do with Mike McDaniel and a little bit less to do with Bevell. However, though, he's got a nice little resume that he's starting to create here. So the Dolphins had the best passing offense and second best scoring offense this season. He was also the Seahawks OC back in 2014 when they ended up winning a Super Bowl. He has also worked with some pretty impressive quarterbacks like a Brett Favre, like a Brian Johnson, like a Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa. So a lot of different types of quarterbacks, and some have had some success, some have not had some success. The bottom line, though, is if you want to have an offensive-minded guy that has been a part of some good coaching trees, that has been a part of some success, I do think Darrell Bevell is at least a name to keep in mind. Let's go to Chad O'Shea here, pass game coordinator and wide receiver coach for the Cleveland Browns. And I got to give him a lot of credit for what this guy was able to do this season, what the Browns were able to do this season, not having Deshaun Watson. They made Joe Flacco look pretty good. Chugs just can't get over the fact that this guy looks like he's got the longest neck of all time. Dude's got 3 Adam's apples right there. But he worked underneath Bill Belichick and with Tom Brady from 2009 to 2018. So again, there's some ties there to Tom Brady. It's also been documented that Bill Belichick and Mark Davis, they might have a conversation. But his offensive principles, they go back to the Shanahan style of offenses, the Kubiak tree. And for the Raiders, if you bring in a guy like Jaden Daniels, I think that Chad O'Shea would be kind of an intriguing option in that. On top of that, though, he's going to want to run the football. O'Shea is a big believer, I believe, in pounding the rock with Cleveland, and Antonio Pierce is somebody that believes in pounding the rock. So if you want to be able to still establish that running game, kind of like what Cleveland has done, I think O'Shea is just another name to keep in mind. Let's go number 6 here. This is going to be a little bit of a flyer, and the reason why I'm putting him here at 6 is because sometimes the NFL is a copycat league, and a lot of times when certain guys get interviews, other people get interviews on top of that, and it just seems like sometimes there's hot names out in the streets, and one of the hot names in college football realm is Liam Cohn, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky. So he's had some ties to Sean McVay, and if you're an NFL team right now and you're trying to jumpstart your offense, if somebody has been connected or a part of the Sean McVay tree, guess what? It's worked just about every single place that he has gone. He did a great job, I thought, with Will Levis at Kentucky. Watching the jump that Levis had kind of made his final year at Kentucky, I think really showed that, okay, he can run a pro style of offense, and if you want to run a pro style offense, I do think that Cohen is an intriguing name, well-respected in the NFL, well-respected in the college football realm on top of that. So he's number 6 because I believe that his name is going to be mentioned a bunch in a lot of these NFL OC circles, where some of these other guys, I don't know if they'll get mentioned nearly as enough, but because he's got that college football spark, and from a lot of people that I talked to in the Raiders, they have looked at a lot of college coaches in terms of overall hiring cycle for QB coach, OC, a lot of different areas. Coming up here, my top 5 Raiders OC candidates that I would pair with Antonio Pierce. That's going to be coming up on today's show, but I do got to tell you about Panda Sups and all the awesome deals that they have going on over there. So one of the things that I'm really excited about that they finally has launched, and shout out to Merbati's, the owner here of Panda Sups, diehard Raider fan. They got a little bit of help for me and get my salt down, but also for my meal prep. So Panda Sups Premium Seasoning Prep is partnered with Jeffrey Harris, who has over 1 million Instagram followers. Elevate your prep game to a whole new level. Join the Panda family embracing a healthier, tastier lifestyle with Panda supplements and Jeffrey Harris's premium prep seasonings, specially crafted to tantalize your taste buds. These seasonings boost an impressive 0-calorie count per 710 milligram servings, ensuring guilt-free enjoyment with every sprinkle. Each serving contains under 100 milligrams of sodium, making it a smart choice for those mindful of their salt intake. Crafted with care using real high-quality ingredients, including a delightful blend of salt, honey, paprika, garlic, onion, pepper, parsley, and more, our seasonings guarantee an explosion of flavor in every bite. Whether you opt for something sweet like cinnamon honey butter, the classic appeal of urban butter, the earthy essence of roasted veggies, the spicy kick of Taco Tuesday, the fiery heat of Texas heat, or the harmonious blend of Hefe Special, there's a flavor for every palate. So elevate your culinary creations and make truly unforgettable flavor experience with Prep Premium Seasonings. Go get started at pandasups.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. All right, let's go to number 5 here on my list. It's going to be Greg Roman, former OC of the Baltimore Ravens. And this one is me being very honest with y'all. The only way that I am bringing in a guy like Greg Roman is if the plan for the Raiders is honestly to go out and trade for a guy like Justin Fields. I think if you had Justin Fields at quarterback, you bring in Greg Roman, who has worked with Colin Kaepernick, Tyrod Taylor, Lamar Jackson. He runs a very, very run-heavy style of football. He has been an OC for 3 different teams. The Niners from 2011 to 14, the Bills from 2015 to 16, and then Baltimore from 2019 to 2022. It's been documented that sometimes he can be a little bit of a difficult guy to work with. He does have connections, though, with Rob Ryan, and those two guys were pretty good friends when both were on the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff a few years ago. But to me, if you're going to go run happy, and if Antonio Pierce says we're going to bring back Josh Jacobs, we're going to go out and trade for somebody like Justin Fields. Greg Roman is a name to at least keep in mind. But here's the thing, though. There is a clear tier break from 4 all the way down. Like the 4 next names that you're going to see is what I truly believe the Raiders end up going this upcoming season. Number 4 on my list is Luke Getsy, former offensive coordinator of the Chicago Bears. And I'll keep it a buck with y'all. I do not want the Raiders to hire Luke Getsy to be their OC. Do I think Getsy would be a good quarterback coach? Yes, I do. OC would be a little bit too much for me. So the reason why Getsy's on here is because it has been reported that the Raiders are interested in bringing in Getsy. Getsy does have some ties with Champ Kelly. However, they never really crossed and when they were both with the Chicago Bears. He's been working in the NFL since 2014. He has worked with Aaron Rodgers, and if you're going to be smart for this hiring cycle, you got to be able to find an OC that Davante Adams likes, and guess what? Getsy has worked with Davante Adams. They were both together in Green Bay. Getsy worked with Aaron Rodgers. Those two had a pretty good relationship on top of that. But what I don't want is for the Raiders to go out, trade for Justin Fields, and then bring in Luke Getsy. Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. He had a lot of success running the football. Luke Getsy's offenses were the 2 years that he was with Chicago, finished 1 and 2 in rushing yards, had more to do with the quarterback being dynamic, but really, really struggled throwing the football. The offensive line struggled on top of that. To me, young guy, built better to be a quarterback coach, but because the Raiders are reportedly interested in him, he's number 4 on my list. Another big tier break here, and I'll tell you right now, from here on out, you could hire these next 3 guys, and I'm going to be very, very happy when we go live on the Raiders Report. Zach Robinson, pass game coordinator and quarterback coach for the Silver and Black. I will admit the last time that I did a show for OC candidates, the guy that was number 3, I believe, ended up getting the job. He is from that Sean McVay tree, which has had tons and tons of success in the NFL. I'll admit he doesn't have any play calling experience, and when you listen to a lot of the reports, a lot of the sources that I talk to, if Mark Davis is nervous about hiring a first-time GM and a first-time head coach, I don't know if he's going to hire a first-time GM, a first-time head coach, and a first-time OC play caller in a very, very big year. He has worked with Matthew Stafford. He has worked with Jared Goff, has worked with Baker Mayfield. So to me, this would be a very interesting offense, more West Coast. He's going to get the play action going. But when you bring in McVay guys, they have had a lot of success. And Zach Robinson, I get it. He doesn't have any play calling experience, but when you hear people talk about him, it reminds me of the ways that, they would talk about guys like Sean McVay, the ways that they would talk about a guy like Mike McDaniel. Everybody at one point is unqualified, and then when they show it, then they become a hot commodity. What I'm worried about is this might be your opportunity this year to get Zach Robinson, bring him in, because I'm worried if you wait too long, next year, Robinson's going to be getting looked at for maybe potential head coaching gigs or maybe some other big opportunities in the NFL. So before we get into my top 2 OC candidates here for the Las Vegas Raiders, I do want to tell y'all we're going to be doing a Raiders Report Super Bowl 58 watch party in Las Vegas. Here is the address. Where is it going to be at? At the Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel, a little bit off the strip. When? Sunday, February 11th, 2 p.m. Pacific time. If you want to give them a call right now and reserve your seats, it's honestly probably what I would recommend doing. You could do that. It's going to fit about 100 people. It's going to be first come, first serve. And I'm going to be real. I've already reserved a few spots, and there's going to be tons of giveaways. If you're a fan of what Jeremy and I do, and you've always wanted to party with us in person, if you've ever wanted to chug a beer live on the Raiders Report, if you've ever wanted to do a boot live on the Raiders Report, if you want to bang in person, well, now you're going to have an opportunity because we're going to be doing this inside of this venue here. It is going to be a full bar, and we're going to have a bunch of drink deals, bunch of food deals. There's going to be tons of Raider fans in attendance. There's going to be potentially some Raider fans there as well. It's going to be the Super Bowl game on one TV. We're going to have the Raiders Report on another TV. And like I said, it's going to be unbelievable. But on top of that, though, I want you to make it an entire day, make it an entire weekend. Go out to Vegas for the Super Bowl. Check out Joel's Chop House, located inside Ahern. I know we're going to have dinner 2 times there this week, or during Super Bowl week. If you like wine, they have an awesome wine bar and social club on top of that inside of Ahern. Bottom line is, if you're looking for something to do on Super Bowl Sunday and you want to party with Jeremy and I, pull up to the Ahern Boutique Hotel in Las Vegas. Tons of giveaways, special food and drink deals, and opportunities to join the show with us, which to me I think it will be the coolest thing. So again, this is where it's at. Here's the address. Don't be afraid to give them a call and say, hey, I want to reserve a spot for the Raiders Report Super Bowl 58 watch party. Here's the date. It's going to get started about 2 hours ahead of time. I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go to number 2 here on my list. It is Klint Kubiak, pass game coordinator. And if you were to ask me, Mitch, who do you think might be the best overall hire for the Raiders? Klint might be that guy. The reason why he's number 2 on my list here, though, is because the Raiders have yet to show interest in him from the time that I am making this video. Kubiak hails from the Kyle Shanahan tree. He also has a lot of ties, obviously, with his family, the Kubiak family, and the offense that they run. He does have a dynamic offensive scheme where quarterbacks have thrived and some quarterbacks have struggled. I mean, look at White now with Brock Purdy having some success. Last year, though, Russell Wilson was one of the worst years he's had. I do wonder if that was more to do with Nathaniel Hackett and the overall fit with Wilson in Denver. But to me, Kubiak has had some really good offenses. Like, one of the best offenses he's ever had was back in Minnesota. It's Kirk Cousins' best year. If you can make Kirk Cousins look like an MVP caliber quarterback, it's somebody that I'm going to be intrigued by. He's worked with Tannehill, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy. He's got a lot of good names, but a lot of good ties. And again, if you're going to bring in Antonio Pierce, you need to be able to give the keys to an OC that has some of that experience. With the amount of ties that he's got, I would be confident in Klint Kubiak running the Raiders offense from top to bottom. But coming in here at number 1 is the guy that I think that's just going to end up getting the job. It's Kliff Kingsbury, quarterback coach and senior offensive assistant at USC right now. Kliff has worked with a lot of big-name QBs, right? Like, if you're trying to beat Patrick Mahomes on a weekly basis, you're trying to compete with him because that's what the Raiders need to do. Kliff has worked with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes back at Texas Tech. He has worked with a guy like Caleb Williams at USC. He has worked with Kyler Murray. He's worked with a lot of dynamic quarterbacks, but multiple reports indicate that the Raiders have been interested in him. And he's going to run a spread offense, which to me, I do think is what the Raiders need. I want excitement. I want to feel like the Raiders have a chance to put up 30, 40 points every single week because that's what good NFL teams do. Don't get me wrong. Defenses can win championships, and you still need a good defense in order to compete. But watching Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, I want a guy that I have trust in who has been a head coach, wasn't a great head coach, but this is the ultimate of not a good head coach, but has shown that he can be a good coordinator. And that's why I have Kliff Kingsbury here at number 1. So again, y'all, appreciate all y'all tuning in. I do want to give a shout out to the Noti Gang. If you don't know what the Noti Gang is, it's the people that take pride in hitting that subscribe button. It's the people that take pride in trying to be one of the very first commenters on a video that I drop here on this channel. So Jonathan, Damian, Silk Made It, Ghostmaster, I see y'all, and I appreciate the hell out of each and every one of y'all. So one more time here, our Raiders OC candidates that I would pair with Antonio Pierce: Frank Reich, Byron Leftwich, Darrell Bevell, Chad O'Shea, Liam Cohn, Greg Roman, Luke Getsy, though I'd rather have him at QB, Coach Zach Robinson, Klint Kubiak, and then Kliff Kingsbury. These are my top 10 Raiders OC candidates to pair with Antonio Pierce.